Here we go, is the mess we're starting with. Run through this all real quick. See, there's the main power harness, transducer wire, power wire, battery cables, battery switches on there, battery tray, switch panel, GPS. Here's the panel that mounts all the Mercury computers and SmartCraft connectors, along with battery charger, main power harness, switches, key switches, control panels, can pads, gauges, stereo, jack plate switch, throttle steering, I put the seat back on, jack plate wire, and backrest. So yeah, it's gonna be, oh, my little storage boxes. So, work's cut out for us. I'm gonna have to modify a few things. You can see when I took everything off the other boat, I labeled everything, deep cycle battery, like I knew exactly where everything needs to go. A couple things are gonna have to get modified because I'm putting the batteries down there, and that little circle is where the battery switch mounts, so those wires need to get extended. No big deal. Should be the only thing I have to extend. So yeah, let's get to it. So I guess we just start from the back, work our way forward. I saw in the last episodes, we obviously have the jack plate and motor on. So just drilled a few holes, coated them all with some resin inside to seal it, even though it's Coosa board. Hydraulic lines, rigging tube, all those cables were just laying on the ground, hanging out. And I just pushed those through and fed them up those PVC rigging tubes, so not a lot on that. That just screws in, put a little sealant around each of these holes. This is one of those Blue Sea Systems cable clams. These are kind of cool. It's a piece of rubber, basically, and it's got a plastic cap over top. You mount, you screw a base plate on there. You drill some holes in the rubber, whatever size you need. You slit it with a razor knife on the side so you can slide your wires in on each end, and then you just kind of put it in place. You feed your wires through this cap. You put the cap on. There's screws on the base plate that screw to the transom, and then these just screw to the base plate. So you can take this off and feed different wires through if you need to. But anyways, transducer, same thing. Sealed it, screwed that on. Put a couple little cable ties just to keep that wire from flopping around. And that's it for the back. So we're gonna work our way up, probably just start on the Livewell now that the paint's dry enough to mess with it. And put the lid, backrest, seat, and storage bin back on that beast. All right, starting in the back. Working our way back up. First, this Livewell lid back on. Nice part is everything was good and drilled out and all before. Just got a little filler in it and whatnot, paint primer. So it's a matter of cleaning out holes, really. Left the hardware on everything. Tried to make my life as easy as possible. All right. And then picked up some more silicone, just 3M marine grade silicone, just because I do not want, I don't want water getting under these hinges or anything and just sitting on this paint. So it just kind of seals them up a little bit. A little something through those holes to seal them. Flip, flip. One hole, two hole, red hole, blue hole. Also going to put just the tiniest little dab on these threads. One thing I've always noticed is you get little rust spots on these screw heads when water gets sitting in there. The stainless does need oxygen to do its thing. And if it's totally blocked off by water, water can just sit on it. It will rust a little bit. That'll help. Look at that, it's still out of the lid. All right, find my ratchet real quick. Dropping everything tonight. Oi! Left my screws in here for the spring. So let's back those out. A little extra sealant in those holes. Okay. Boom. One down. I'm not going to film every bit of this. This is going to be the most boring content I've ever filmed, so just keep going. This back on. Yeah. All right, feed the rest of these in and tighten them down from the inside. Quick sneak peek inside this hole. Livewell tub, hoses, and there's all the bolts coming through on each side. So dab a little silica or a little grease on those and tighten them up. All right. Box is back in, seats on, backrest, lid. I'm calling it a night because I literally just had my phone inside of there with the flashlight on, tightened down all those nuts, put the box in, and yes, walked around for 5 minutes looking for my phone, which was still inside the Livewell with the flashlight on. So I'll take the box back out to get it. So yeah, that's my cue. Call it a night before I screw something up. All right, next day, rested, got some coffee, start on this console. So I think best plan is I'm gonna start at the bottom, mount battery trays, get the batteries in place, and that way I'm not dealing with a bunch of wires and stuff hanging down. I can kind of get in here and move around a little more. So let's get going on that. All right, batteries are in. And mounted down on those trays in there. I did leave a little room, to wiggle them around or whatever. I can still get a foot down in there and kind of sit here and mess with them if I need to. But there's plenty of room to put a couple more in there. If I ever put a trolling motor in, I can easily unscrew those and move them around wherever. So what I am going to have to do is probably extend a couple of these cables. Because batteries were sitting up higher and now they're, about a foot lower. So I'm gonna put this back in. This is actually one of the first things I ever made on my CNC when I bought it. It's a little catch-all box that was mounted on the front that has the NOCO plug for the charger and the main battery switch. And that mounts right in there. And then all the cables go straight down to the batteries. So, taking the opportunity to check all these terminals, remelting some of these heat shrinks down. You can see they're all still in really good shape. I mean, they're dirty, they got grease on them or whatever. But like when you get little bits like that, where it's just kind of melted off or, peeling a little bit. Anyways, what I'm saying is I'm taking the heat gun and just kind of re-shrinking these down to get the adhesive reattached in there. just to make sure I don't have any issues. Easier to do it now than it is on the water, of course. Clean this up, re-grease everything, you know. And yeah, I'm gonna mount that back in and see what I'm gonna need to extend and whatnot. All right, yep, just like I thought. So that one connects. But yeah, the two that go down to the batteries, I have to extend those a couple feet. So anyways, basically I'm gonna just give you a quick overview of the setup here. We have, you know, two batteries, starting battery over here, deep cycle over there, goes to the switch. One is the starting, two is the deep cycle. So when that switch gets turned on, power goes to this main lug, which will then power the fuse box here. So once the switch is on, this has got things like the GPS, the radio, lights, all those things. And then we have the main ground block here that everything can ground to, which then goes to the main ground block, which then goes back to, yeah, I labeled all these wires, deep cycle battery, which I'm gonna have to extend that one as well. And then we have this one here. This is to the starting battery. Follow that up. That goes to the ACR. So that'll charge when that's running. Once I get it cleaned up, I'll get you a better overview, but just general kind of look before it's all buried in stuff, what I got going here. All right, I guess time to start dropping stuff back in the console. So starting with these two storage boxes, this one, just kind of a catch-all glove box, has my power pole remote in there. It also has a switch in there. This is battery charger. That's actually a shutoff for the ACR. And what that does is I have a Noco Genius battery charger on there, but I also have an ACR which controls the charging of the batteries while the engine's running. That completely defeats the purpose of having a Noco Genius dual bank battery charger, because that will read each battery separately and charge them independently. And the ACR's job is to combine the charging equally across the batteries. So this switch, basically, if I need to plug the batteries in while at home, it just shuts off the ACR so that the battery tender, the battery charger can do its job and charge each battery independently, and then flip that back on while we're running, and then the motor alternator can charge each battery depending on its needs as we're out on the water. So anyways, that I'm gonna put a little silicone on there, just screw that back in. This thing here, just another little catch-all storage box. Got the lures and hair ties in there, all kinds of good stuff in there. A handful of screws here that I took out of it when I pulled it out. And oh, look what else we got in here. All kinds of stuff. Like some treasures from our last sandbar trip. A handful of shark's teeth in there too. This also has a phone charger built into it, a USB port, which is nice. So the cord's hanging down for that. Got everything wired, of course. Says exactly what fuse to put that back onto, and the ground lock, so that'll make that easy. So I'm going to dab a little silicone on that, screw that one in, and grab the next thing. So this is a little messier than it was yesterday, but that's what we're working on today. For now, yeah, everything's in place, so we just gotta plug everything back in and then clean this all up. Let's get to that. So these are the two cables that I'm going to need to extend. I was able to move a few things around in there and swap a few wires around to make that work. But I have two that need to be about a foot longer. So I got a 2 gauge and a 4 gauge. I have enough 2 gauge cable to extend this one. 4 gauge, I was running low. It's probably 6 inches longer than what this is. So I went ahead and ordered another spool of that. And a couple lugs, because I need one 4 gauge lug in the right size that I don't have in my little collection here. But 2 gauge lugs I have, and I have enough cable, and I have enough heat shrink left. So let's go ahead and make that one. Trying to get this out of the way. Where was this? That one. Clean up this mess real quick. I'll end up knocking stuff everywhere. All right. So that's tomorrow's project. This one's today's. This stuff is not cheap anymore, like anything, but it's worth it to go ahead and get the good stuff. Think that should be long enough, but I'm going to jump in the boat real quick and check before I start cutting wire. All right, yeah, it's about a foot longer. Plenty long enough. Spool this back up. Always want to check this stuff before you start cutting wire that's $6 or $7 a foot now. So, razor knife is my last thing I need. Where'd it go? About the only thing I cannot do without the tools on hand is strip this back. So basically, just gonna take these cables, kind of measure them up with the lugs here. You cut about 1/2 inch or so, sheeting off. Okay, and this is what you want, that nice tinned copper, good quality wire. Just that. And then invest in a nice pair of dyed crimpers if you're going to be doing a lot of these. These have you just spin this thing on the top. You can adjust the sizes. So it's set for 2. Also, a lot of the stores, West Marines and whatever, will actually let you use theirs. They have these sitting on the shelves. They just won't let you, they're not going to do it for you, but it's okay. You can go ahead and borrow it if you just need to cut 1 or 2. Nice and tight. Nice pull, make sure it's good. This even has a little stamp 2 on there just to confirm that you use the right one. Good, good. Pair of scissors usually works better for this, but over there and I don't feel like walking. Where's my heat gun? Of course, it's right behind me. And you can see on this will actually get the we'll have the adhesive coming out of the bottom of it there, which is good. But you know you get a good seal because you don't want water getting in these. Just like anything, water will screw it up. Just like that, easy peasy. A new battery cable. So this is a little messier than it was yesterday, but that's what we're working on today. So the new battery cable's running down. Yeah, see why we had to extend them. Batteries are a foot lower than they were. Now, yeah, everything's you know, in place. So we just gotta plug everything back in and then clean this all up. Let's get to that. Also, I'm gonna pull this board back in, get this one back in place. I have a couple more wires to clean up. All right, welcome to my world for the next couple hours. I am inside the console. It is cramped. Got a fan blowing right on me though, so it's not bad. Weather decided to break a little bit, so at least it's not 1,000 degrees. But anyways, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to film much of this. But I'm basically just gonna start plugging in accessories and check back in once I can make heads or tails of this. All right, a little midway update. Panel's back in place. Getting there. Most of the stuff up here all tamed, and the wires all bed down and plugged back in. Put this harness back in a minute. Start plugging that back in. And then that'll take care of all those loose wires too. Clean up all the battery charger wires and then start plugging the batteries in finally. Getting there. All right, about to wrap it up for the evening. One more little quick look. The state of things. Getting there. Still have some zip tying to do, but we're getting there. So, jack plate. Mounted that relay right there. They are very particular about not cutting the wires on these, so I did not. Ran the power up to the breaker, ground right there, and then these harnesses. This is all the wire they give you to start, and they give you about 1,000,000 feet of the switch wire. But if you don't have batteries back by the transom, you got to get one of these guys. They have a 16-foot extension, so you can plug that into this, run that thing all the way back to here, and plug it into that guy, which then goes into the jack plate. So run that. Probably going to be the last thing for the evening. I'm tired. It's been a long day. It's been a productive day. It's been a long day. It's a mess. Let's see. There's, you know, tape everywhere, zip tie, scrapies, scraps. And yeah, I'll go find some dinner and check back in the morning. Well, good morning. Spool wire showed up overnight. Gotta love the Amazon overnight deliveries. Also picked up a couple more bags of zip ties. Finished cleaning all this up, and hopefully we can get this sucker started up later. Got everything getting tidied up here. Now, plan, get these amp wires, deal with those last. Once I run the speaker wires up and install the speakers, I'll pull that cover off and do all that at once. But for now, start running the accessories, Livewell pumps, bilge pumps, and such. Those can all come out that rigging tube and feed right into that block there. It goes up to the switch panel. And really all I've got to do is I run the positives to those and the negatives up there. And then I can clean up the last of these little wires. So let's start doing that. Back over here, we got our extra short battery cables. And hang on to those because you never know when you're going to need them. Put those away. Pull out the spool of duplex wire, start cutting this, and running some of those accessories. It's always fun to take a look at the aftermath doing this. Tools everywhere, tape all over, and just zip tie clips everywhere as I was sitting in there clipping stuff off and chucking it out. Tape blowing all the way back to here, but for now, we'll throw the fish in there, hook it to that wire, pull it up to the console, and what I'll do is I'll measure it out. I'll hook it to here and then cut it back there when I know exactly how much I need. I'm not trying to estimate and waste the wire. So I ran the snake through with a string tied to it. Went ahead and pulled this out with the wire on it. And on the other end of that, I tied another string so I can just go back and forth, put the metal snake away, make it easier just to pull these last handful of wires back and forth. When I split this duplex wire, you basically just run razor knife real gently right down, the edge of it there, create a split. Then you can kind of just pull these out. You're just trying to cut this PVC jacket. You're not trying to, you don't want to go crazy on it and cut it into the wire, obviously. You don't have to cut all the way through it, just to score it enough. And then once you pull on this, it'll actually rip through it. And then what I like to do is when I get to the end, I kind of roll this back a little bit and then pull it down a little like that. Just makes a nice little finished end. Take your razor knife and just kind of run it around a little bit there and give it a little tug. Knocks your pliers onto the ground, but this pops right off. Throw that away. And then you got a nice little, finished looking end on it there. And then you can go ahead and, feed it through whatever little guides or zip ties or anything you got in there to kind of hold everything into place. Line it all up, cut them to the right length that they need to be, put the ends on them and cinch them all down. All right, back in the hole here, give you a little better idea of how I'm lining these wires up. So just temporarily zip tied this to that other wire, just to keep it from moving around. And this slack, I'll go ahead and, pull back out once I get it cut. But basically, I measured this out. So I split the jacket off down to here, cut it off, because the black wire I want to feed under here, up through this nonsense, and you'll be able to feed it through here and onto this ground block. Whereas the red wire only needs to go to the second switch here, because that's my Livewell switch. So this one I can cut off about this length, and that one I need to leave much longer. So now that I can hold this in place, not have it move at all, I'll go ahead and cut these to length. That's a little jar full of heat shrink ring terminals there. Put one of those on and put it in place. All right, now that I've got my wire lengths correct, I'm going to cut that little placeholder zip tie off and pull them out, and you can see how they're, much different lengths of wire now. But from here, the process will be the same. Go ahead and strip the ends off of these, 14 gauge. have my automatic wire strippers in the drawer somewhere. I don't know where those are. The little clicky ones. You just, when it pops it right off. Go find those. Twist these tight. Feed them into the terminals. Nice to get a good pair of, automatic ratcheting crimpers that aren't going to let go until it knows it's a good crimp. And you want these nice and tight. You do not want to just rely on the heat shrink to hold these in place, because that'll work for a couple years until it doesn't. Now that those are both good and tight, I got the heat gun. There's, some people use the butane ones or whatever. Any kind of little cheapy heat gun will work just fine. Don't want to get these too hot because you're not trying to melt the actual wire, you're just trying to melt the heat shrink. And you can buy these these connectors in bulk. Just make sure you get the decent ones that have the adhesive inside of them. Most of them do now. And there you go. A couple wires. Feed those through. Screw them into where they go, and then do it for the bilge pumps and the lights and the see what else, the Livewell light, basically anything that's going to get plugged into that switch panel, do the same thing. So I'm not going to film all of it because it's very redundant, but yeah, that's the process. All right, then work your way back here to the transom and pull the slack out of this wire. Give yourself enough to mess with. This is the wire that comes off of the Livewell pump. I do want to leave some slack back here, and in case not in case, but when I have to replace it, because it doesn't matter what you get, these Livewell pumps in salt water last about 2 years if you're lucky, then they go out. So you ended up replacing these. Probably, in the future, I'll put some Deutsch connectors on these to make it a little quicker, but it's another episode. For today, I'm just gonna go ahead and splice them in with the razor knife. Slit that jacket just a little bit. A little bit more. And like I said, you don't really have to cut into it. You just have to kind of score it enough that the knife will do the rest. Fold these over, pull this down, run around it like Grandma used to do, cutting apples. Put your knife away so you don't kneel into it and cut yourself. Some butt connectors. Again, I buy these in bulk, a couple hundred at a time. So much cheaper than going to the corner store, marine store, and buying the little 5-packs of them. Give those a nice little tug. Obviously, if you really wanted to, you could pull these out. You're not trying to pull it out. You're just trying to make sure that it's, relatively tight. There we go. Heat shrink gun's up there. I'm gonna grab that, heat shrink it, and then I'm gonna coil these up into a service loop and zip tie them to something up in here in the bilge so that, when I have to replace these, I cut one zip tie, pull it out, and I've got enough slack to work on this up on the deck and not down in the bilge. All right, a couple zip ties. Slide this up out of the way. I'm not gonna bother putting it on super tight or anything. Sticking to that pipe a little bit. Then go ahead and just push it back out of the way, so boom, it looks clean. But it's still serviceable, and that is what's important. Yes, I'm gonna clean all that up. Not now. All right, so now the idea is put this battery switch on, hit the Livewell pump, and it's making noise. That's good. Turn that off. Flip that power switch off, and just give you one more quick overview of what we got here. Obviously not finished. I have all the rest of the accessories to hook up, but those are rinse and repeat. I'll make sure and put in a little footage of once this is done and I have this bottom panel on and everything, but I mean, I still got another day or so, you know, at least a few more hours cleaning all this up, running these wires for the Livewell pumps and float switches and all that stuff. But it's rinse and repeat, same stuff. I'm not going to bore you guys with it. You've seen me crimp wires once, you've seen it 1,000 times. So yeah, it's a normal 2 battery setup. Your starting battery and your deep cycle goes up to a battery switch. That's the Blue Seas, on off combined. So what that does is that isolates the batteries. When you turn it to on, that's going to leave just your starting battery going to your motor and your deep cycle running across that wire to that power block, which is going to power anything on this panel on the switch. So that, of course, goes to this fuse box here. So that's got everything like your stereo, your battery charger, your cell phone chargers, your GPS, your nav lights, deck lights, all those things. This panel here, this fuse panel, this is a 24-hour circuit. This has a dedicated wire going straight to the battery. So that's going to run like your Mercury Clean Powers, your bilge pump float switch, and there's one other, I think it's for the trim tab up there, that needs a 24-hour circuit for some reason. And of course, this is all, they're all grounded off a common ground block, which runs to here, down to that big block, which then goes back to the batteries, which are tied together on the grounds. Over on this side, we've got your Mercury stuff, basically your computers and your J boxes that they all require, plus the charger for the batteries. And then your power harness, when I put the tower on, that'll just connect into there, along with like your nav lights for the, my nav lights are on the tower. So those will come in and just hook to this panel as well. That's all bundled up out there, ready to go. Amplifier I still need to hook up because that's kind of low priority. It's last on the list. I want to make sure this is running. Speaking of which, I'm sure you guys are too. You've been watching me crimp wires for the last, 20, 30 minutes of this video, and you want to see if this sucker's working. So, let's find out. I did hook up the fuel line, tried pumping it. Hard to get some fuel to come through it. Hopefully it'll suck some through once it starts running. My main concern is that being unplugged for however many weeks, these Mercury computers didn't forget who they work for. So, fingers crossed, click that switch on, put the key in here, make sure we're in neutral, and this should beep, and then it should start. And that is a beautiful sound. All right, we're gonna go ahead and call this about 95% done. Of course, I could, put a couple more zip ties on every single one of these leads if you really wanted to and make it really Instagrammable. But I like to be able to actually pull this wire off if I need to and have a little slack without cutting 7 zip ties on the water. Anyways, personal preference. Overall, serviceable. You can see why I did not put the steering lines on till last, because they are literally just right in your head. So that's one thing you can't really get too much out of the way. But the rest of it, it's, pretty clean. There's a lot of stuff in here. And I think overall I'm pretty happy with it. About ready to fire it up and get this thing on the water. All right, speakers are installed. We got 1, 2, back here 3, and 4. And I did go ahead and put the subwoofer in there. And yeah, if you'll notice, we're outside. And that's because the tower's on. And well, it doesn't fit the shop anymore. So this is its new home. Sorry, I did not get any footage of this. This thing is just too clunky to try and film and, you know, throw up there at the same time. But basically, just had a handful of people come, you know, help me pick it up, set it back in the boat. And then the legs are, they're through bolted. There. There's some back there. Oops, sorry, close that. And then up under there. So there are, let's see, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 through bolts and 4 big old lag screws. Number 14's going through the deck, through the PVC stringer tops and into the stringers. I have nice long screws for that. All 42 or 5200 in. This is how I had it mounted on the last boat. It ran for 2.5 years, 2 years. Didn't wobble a bit. So I'm confident with that. Remember, this console's glass down, so this isn't going anywhere. Rigging tube. That, all the stuff just runs right through from the box there, right down into the top of the console. Comes into, what's that, back in here. That comes in right there. So we just have our main power harness. It just plugs into that T right there. And then the nav lights just plugged into the switch there. So it's good to take a step back and just take it all in. This is 99% finished. I mean, are they ever really done? No. Always doing something with them, but overall, she's ready to hit the water. And hit the water she did. She is loose, she's happy, and I'm happy. So stick around, because I got more coming up. I'm going to do another video where we have the first launch, shakedown video, first impressions, performance numbers, draft, all those kind of details that I'm sure a lot of y'all are looking for. Thanks again for everybody who's stuck around from the beginning and everybody who may just be joining on. I appreciate every single one of y'all. And on to the next one. Talk soon, guys.